I just wanted to do a bit of a live reaction to this video. So this is your Overwatch with 800,000 subscribers. Overwatch 2 has just launched, and his newest video is, 166,000 views. I don't know if he's just fallen off or it's because the game just was so popular at one point he got boosts of subscribers and now he's struggling with subscribers. But it seems like he's not doing so well for a channel with that many subscribers. On top of that, this video has 5,000 likes, 166,000 views. To give you some context, this video is not well received amongst his community, and it's going to be obvious why in just a moment. He is reviewing a review, he is commentating on a review that PC Gamer made of Overwatch 1, 2. It's just Overwatch 1 anyway, why not call it either? And his opinions suck. And he gets a lot of things wrong, so it just bothered me, and I'm going to talk about it. So let's start with his review of PC Gamer's Overwatch review.
Let's start off with the most gory one, PC Gamer's Overwatch 2 review in progress.
So he calls the review in progress gory. Like, huh? I just realized the quality's not all the way up. Oops. Like, how do you call a review gory? Like, what, did it kill someone? Like, this just to prep you for how dramatic this guy is.
Was absolutely scathing. And what we'll try to do here is, even when we
remember, the reviewer is absolutely scathing.
Disagree with the writer, try our best to understand their perspective and steelman their argument as much as we can.
Sure
In doing so, we can kind of figure out why some people don't like Overwatch 2 and maybe contrast it a bit to the things that the people that do like it to see if there's anything to learn in between.
And to be clear, like, Overwatch's launch has been pretty terrible. We are 3 days in, and oh boy, you should see the forums. Everyone's mad about you having to lock your phone, have to have a phone number, working phone plan to be able to play the game. If you don't have a working phone plan, you can't play. That's a lot of people, especially like people who don't live in first world countries. They don't just pay for phone plans. That's not a thing everywhere in the world. You have to have a prepaid phone plan to be able to play Overwatch 2. Thankfully, it sounds like they might be reversing that, but how did this make it to launch? On top of that, there's been server issues they've blamed on DDoSing. Considering their past with lying about DDoSing, I don't know if I fully believe it. I'm sure that's part of it. But considering this game was kind of rushed, I wouldn't be surprised if the servers were rushed. They were supposed to come out with all sorts of PvE. It's supposed to be Overwatch 2 for crying out loud. This is just Overwatch 1, but the graphics are worse. The first one had this appeal. The graphics were cartoonish. Now we've got it just looks like a Chinese knockoff. It's the best way I've heard it described. Everything feels plasticky. But that's, there's a lot of problems with the game right now. But this fanboy can tell us why this PC Gamer reviewer is wrong.
Subtitle of this article says, a messy sequel that tries to erase one of the best shooters in the last decade.
So I think I've explained already why it's pretty messy at launch. Missing a lot of things that we're supposed to ship with. What was he said? He kills the game.
The last decade is a messy sequel that tries to erase one of the best shooters in.
Yeah, I don't get what the reviewer means either by it tries to erase the game, other than it literally erased it. I'm not sure if he's trying to be literal there, but I mean, he's not wrong. It literally erased it. You cannot play Overwatch 1. You cannot play 6v6 Overwatch 1 anymore. You have to play 5v5 Overwatch 2. Like, it literally erased the game and brought it. Like, I wish I could play Overwatch 1 right now. I've been enjoying Overwatch 2, but I have to just think, man, how much more fun it was if I just played Overwatch 1 today.
In the last decade. Okay, they're trying to erase it from the face of the earth. Now,
I mean, they literally did. Like, this guy, like, what's your name? Your Overwatch? Come on, man. Like, they literally did. Like, why is this so shocking to you that people are going to call it that?
A big claim like that, I start to get a little confused because was anyone calling Overwatch 1 and hailing it as one of the best games out right now? Or is...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was tons of people saying that. Like, everyone, when it first came out, it was such a hit. Oh my gosh, that was 2016? So it had been after Battlefront 2 had just come out, probably just before or just after. Or Star Wars, EA Battlefront, I should say, Battlefront 2, and that failed. What else came out in 2016? Call of Duty, that was Black Ops, right? Maybe it was, I think it was Black Ops 4, that one, failed. Or maybe it was one of the previous ones, again, failed. And not a lot of games at the time. I remember when Overwatch came out, oh my gosh, it was hyped. Everyone wanted to play Overwatch, a new hero shooter. At the time, the only other option was Paladins, and still is. You just don't, and with the kind of Blizzard polish that they had at the time, as stupid as that phrase is, it was a really solid shooter. what? Sorry, what?
calling Overwatch 1 and hailing it as one of the best games out right now? Or is
Yeah,
that just a
it
memory
was one of the best.
of 2016, 2017 when the game was
It was just a memory. You're misremembering. Trust me. As the local Blizzard does no wrong fanboy, I can assure you everything's better now. Like I've just already gone over the things that have already broken at launch, things that are missing, things that they should not have called this Overwatch 2. This is an Overwatch expansion, at best. I don't know how you can call this Overwatch 2. This is just Overwatch with a pretty minor update at that.
entirely different. Keep that question in your mind. It'll be important when we compare to
Sorry, excluding the 5v5 versus 66 change. That's the only major change. Everything else is it's the exact same map, exact same characters. 3 new characters. Wow, we waited 4 or 5 years in Overwatch 1 and we got what, like 6 characters that whole time? Like the devs kind of abandoned it, and I'm glad they did because oh my gosh, everything they introduced was so broken. Power creep was serious over there, Blizzard.
other reviews. But here's some interesting language. Overwatch 2 is a sequel that
Trying to
intentionally
make sure I didn't miss anything.
2017 when the game was entirely different. Keep that question in your mind. It'll be
different,
important
yes.
when we compare to other reviews.
Okay.
But here's some interesting language. Overwatch 2 is a sequel that intentionally or not is trying to bury its predecessor alive.
I think they literally mean, yeah, it is burying. Yes, its predecessor no longer exists. You cannot play Overwatch 1. You have to play this Overwatch 1.2 for no reason. If they want it to be a completely separate game, why do they call it Overwatch 2? If it's not a completely separate game, why do they shut down the old servers to bring this one up, right?
The original Overwatch is still in there, bruised and broken, but the weight of Blizzard's commercial and competitive
Yeah, I would say honestly, Overwatch 1 was better at launch than, and over time it got worse just because of the power creep. Really, if it didn't have so much power creep, it would probably be better as it moved on. But gotta bring back people somehow after you've abandoned the game.
expectations keeps piling up. It's a sequel that attempts to renew its predecessor with layers of unnecessary complexity and refuses to reach inward to find and nourish the ambitions and joyful FPS behind it all. Now, to try to understand the perspective of this writer,
I mean, I don't get how Overwatch 2 is more complex than Overwatch 1. Again, it's the same thing with 5v5 instead of 6v6. So if anything, it's less complex. There's less things to keep track of. I would say it's a lot. It's different, especially since they removed a lot of stuns. They moved, like, Orisa no longer has her shields. There's a lot less shields in the game. I think Reinhardt's shield was nerfed. It seems like it has maybe like 800 less hit points. I don't really know. I didn't play Overwatch 1 in the last year, so I can't remember how much health they had before. But with less shields and less stuns, like Mei doesn't even stun at all anymore, so she feels a bit useless at the moment. I mean, yeah, I would say the game got overall, it got less complex. Well, then again, if you're saying that like Mei's stun made her a very easy character to play, so now it's more complex. You don't have the quote unquote noob tube of Overwatch. I'd say it got a bit. No, I will say it got a bit more complex because you do lose a lot of those noob tubes. Yeah, it did get more complex over time. Sorry, that Overwatch 2 is more complex than Overwatch 1.
what he means is the free-to-play systems, the battle pass, and first-time user experience, making it take a while to get heroes and such, because the gameplay of Overwatch 2 is way more direct and digestible. I don't think there's any debate about that. It feels like a natural hero shooter, whereas Overwatch 1, the real reason why a team fight was lost might be like a ripple effect.
Wait, what are we talking? I thought we were talking about how complex the game was.
It take a play systems, the battle pass, and I think what he means is all. Now, to try to understand the perspective of this writer, ambitions and joyful FPS behind it all. Now, inward to find and nourish the ambitions and joyful FPS behind it all. Now, to try to understand the perspective of this writer, I think what he means is the free-to-play systems, the battle pass, and first-time user experience, making it take a while to get heroes and such, because the gameplay of Overwatch 2...
Oh yeah, you just named 2 disadvantages of this game over the last, the battle pass, and making it harder to, you don't just get champions anymore, you have to unlock them. And that makes the game more complex artificially for sure. You can't just, I mean, you're playing as like Tracer, and they can play anyone. You got like Tracer, who was it, Widow, Reaper, and a few Soldier. What about everyone else? Like, they have access to more tools than you do. Seriously, Blizzard? Seriously?
2 is way more direct and digestible. I don't think there's any debate about that. It feels like a natural hero shooter, whereas Overwatch 1, the real reason why a team fight was lost might be like a ripple effect 3 abilities in.
So why does that make it not a hero shooter? Saying, sorry, what?
There's any debate about that. It feels like a natural hero shooter, whereas Overwatch 1, the real...
So Overwatch 2 feels like a natural hero shooter. Overwatch 1 did not feel like as much of a hero shooter because...
reason why a team fight was lost might be like a ripple effect 3 abilities in.
So because there was an impact, like your abilities had impacts slowly? What? That made it less of a hero shooter? Hero shooter just means that you're like it's abilities, you're all overpowered, it's shooter, right? Everyone has crazy abilities, everyone's got crazy gadgets and weapons. It's a hero shooter, it's a shooter. It's not less of a hero shooter because its battles take longer or battles are shorter or whatever you're trying to say. That's just stupid.
And it's not even the interaction between you and the character you're fighting with, but more important, an ability that was used somewhere else in the fight that had a butterfly effect on the team composition and then all the...
How does that make it less of a hero shooter? We're still waiting to hear that. Remember, that's his point. It's less of a hero shooter in Overwatch 1 because of this.
RPG team comp builder stuff that we've been talking about. And of course, that's going to be probably the major schism between those that really don't like the direction of Overwatch 2 and thought Overwatch 1 was some masterpiece. But
so people are going to think Overwatch 1 is a masterpiece, even though it was less of a hero shooter because there was a butterfly effect. Like, you're making no sense. The butterfly effect means like your choices have different outcomes. Like, so yeah, I could have not thrown the grenade as Junkrat and maybe we would have lost, or maybe because I threw the grenade we won. Is that what you're saying? Like how one kill has a drastic effect on the team fight, like whoever gets first pick? Is that what you're saying? You need to, dude, you do this for a living. You're your Overwatch. You should be able to explain these concepts that you're trying to express very clearly. You should be able to express them better than I can. I don't do this for a living, dude. I haven't been playing the game for 6 years. I played it at launch for a bit, stopped playing for a long time, played it a bit, stopped playing for a long time. Just now playing it again.
But is that really what we had? Or is it the case that a lot of gamers in this mindset are more so clinging onto a dream of what Overwatch could have been and not dealing with the tangible reality of the game we actually had? So let's go on back to the article. Now,
so the article is talking. What has the article said so far? That the game is more complex than less complex than more complex. This game is more complex than the previous game. And he's saying that you're misremembering the old game, but you yourself believe that the game is more complex, right? So you agree with him. I mean, God, if you're just not so roundabout with your points, it'd be a lot easier. But so you think that Overwatch 2? Sorry, you said Overwatch 2 is less complex. I said Overwatch 2 is more complex. So what does that have to do with misremembering the original game? Because you're saying that they're wrong because they misremember it. So give me an example.
Now, I'm only going to select a few lines here or there because I want to go through a few reviews. So he keeps praising over...
You go through 2 reviews. What are you talking about, doesn't it? PC Gamer, review in progress, PC Gamer, Hero Grind. Okay, so let's guess 2 different reviews from the same site. Do it through a third, fourth? Okay. I guess you can call it a few.
Overwatch 1 and says here, instead of synthesizing what made the original game enviable and revitalizing it, the sequel takes what was left and...
Sorry, I should clarify that is a few. He's right.
...wraps it up in a monetization scheme that could finally kill it for good. Okay? These are bold words. A lot of people say that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to kill the game, but it's obviously hurting the game. People aren't playing the game because of this crap. Just, like, what is there to say then? Just stop being such a fanboy and look at your own community. Your community loves Overwatch. Clearly, if they're subscribing to your channel, that is just about Overwatch. Do you think they're all like, yes, I want to spend money. I want to spend money on the battle pass. I want to spend $20 for a single skin. Like, that excites them? That's why they play Overwatch. To play, yeah, I play Overwatch. I like to buy the skins. No, nobody likes that. Not even. And the fact that you're such a fanboy that you think that, yeah, everyone's gonna like that is insane. Or that it's even a bonus. That's not a bad thing. It is a bad thing. No matter where you stand on that, it's a bad thing. To say it's okay or to say it's good, it doesn't matter. It's not. What is wrong with you? Like, seriously, you are so disconnected from the player base. And it's like, I think you probably realize it, but you feel in your tiny brain, you have to do the damage control for Blizzard. Because you want Daddy Blizzard to give you those early access previews. Because your content's so shit, you wouldn't be able to survive without it.
Yes. I mean, maybe he's right, but I think when players download a free game October 4th, new players are going to be like, wow, this game's awesome. That's the impression I think they're going to have. The article goes on. Overwatch 2 is the
That's weird though to me also because this isn't a new game, and many people have already played Overwatch 1. You seem to be thinking this can be like a whole new experience for everyone, but so many people have already played it. You think it's going to be tapping a new market? Why? It's the same as before. Aside from being free, like that'll get some more players, right? But it's not tapping into a whole new market. It's the exact same game as it was last week.
conclusion to Overwatch's 6-year-long mutation into a free-to-play game. Really take issue with this language, as if there was any step-by-step changes into free-to-play. This is just like blatantly disingenuous. Through leaks,
Oh boy, let's see who was being disingenuous. I gotta listen to that again.
new players are going to be like, wow, this game's awesome. That's the impression I think they're going to have. The article goes on. Overwatch 2 is the conclusion to Overwatch's 6-year-long mutation into a free-to-play game. Really take issue with this language, as if there was any step-by-step changes into free-to-play.
But mutations aren't step-by-step always. I mean, think of like Pokemon. What is it they called? Evolution. Right. If we'd said evolution, would that have been different? No, they mean pretty much the same thing. Like it doesn't have to be step by step. I don't think he was even saying that. I think he was just saying that it was changing. It was mutating. It changed.
This is just like.
Don't worry, guys. The video gets worse from here. I've listened to about a minute further than this. It just goes down.
Blatantly disingenuous. Through leaks, we know that the schism to create the game into free-to-play was pretty rash, actually. It wasn't some long plan.
Why is he saying that? Like it's a good thing. Like, gotcha. It wasn't actually that fast. It wasn't that slow. It was a very rash decision. That's, it's like a bad thing, right? Something's a rash decision.
That was the opposite. We know what Jeff Kaplan's plan was, and we know the team wanted to go a different direction, or at least the management or the devs themselves, the business model with the money running dry. Who knows the exact reason? But in no way was Overwatch like inevitably looking like it was going free to play. In fact,
yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't go one way or the other. Like, will it go free to play in the sequel? Will it not? I might say no, just because all games like to charge money up front. But it was only $40, which at the time was a pretty cheap game in 2016 compared to the $60 and $70 you have now.
In fact, diehard fans like myself were dragging it to be that. It wasn't like the game was inevitably going that direction. So that's just not even true. Now,
I think a lot of games inevitably become free to play, whether, or at least the games that come after them, maybe from a different studio, maybe not within the same studio. We look at like the battle royale genre. PUBG, was that free to play? I can't even remember. No, it's not free to play, right? And then games after it, like Ring of Elysium, Fortnite, were free to play. So yeah, his point actually makes sense that games are trending towards free to play because they're finding there's more money to be made.
A lot of talk has been in the news about the first-time user experience of new players who will kind of gradually unlock the hero roster. Again, just talking about this before the game comes out, it's often hard to explain whether it feels good or not until you actually play it, because I happen to...
No. You don't have to... It feels bad. Like, yes, other players having champions that you don't have, counter pick opportunities that you don't have, that's not a good thing. That doesn't feel good. If you want to play, if they're playing Widow, you can't play, easiest counter to Widow, probably Sombra. I don't think Sombra's one of the free ones. What are you going to do then, right? You just got to suffer. It'd be way easier if you just had the thing that everyone else has. And imagine being a new player and you're going up against players that played the previous game and who have all the champions. So you want to play Widowmaker, you just unlock Widowmaker and they play Sombra. Or what about the player who just doesn't know what all the... If you matched them only with players who also didn't own all the champions, that would make some sense. At least they're not being shit on, They at least have a pool of champions so they can kind of learn the champions slowly. That's not even the case. You can play with your 5 champions versus someone who has all the champions. That's not easing people into the game. That whole thing's bullshit. They're not easing people into the game at all. It's just for money.
No, you get a lot of heroes pretty rapidly, and then they try to make some of the more challenging heroes that require like either more game sense or finesse a little bit later down the first-time user experience.
I mean, that's fine. Like, Widowmaker requires more finesse. I don't think she's one of the first champions you unlock. What about players who just want to play the harder champions, like players who've played FPS games a long time? Like, yeah, it's good for casuals, right? Like, but what about people which want to really dig into things? What about the hardcore players like you? See, you don't have to deal with it because you played the first game. Even if you didn't play the first game, I'm sure they'd give you a press account. Like, these are such just first world like views on this. Like the plebeian gamer below me. I don't need to understand what they're going through. I'll just pretend to is what this guy's doing.
Track, with the last one, of course, being Echo, whose ultimate requires you to know all the heroes. Now, the article says, the problem is how those barriers threaten to encroach on Overwatch's strategic metagame with hero swaps and counterpicking. I think
Yeah, that's legitimate concern.
this is going to be a major discussion point for this channel and hopefully a lot of channels. Overwatch 2 is...
Yeah, I'd hope it is. That's really obviously a bad thing. I hope he's not about to say it's obviously a good thing.
not a game about counterpicking. Not in...
Sombra, Widowmaker. Yeah, let's just play Junkrat into Widowmaker. Yeah, it's fine. There's no counterpicks. It's everyone's equal, right? How long have you played this game for? Do you know how the game works?
in the hard counter sense. You can improve your matchup by swapping, but you can't counterpick, really.
No, you literally can. Obvious example, Sombra versus, like, dude, are you new? Like, seriously. I think I recognize this channel from long ago. I'm pretty sure it's always been yeah, it's literally just a fanboy Overwatch channel. They play the first videos were 6 years ago with just Overwatch. They didn't even start with something else. It's just an Overwatch channel. How do you not understand these things? Why you do obviously. You're just trying to do damage control for Blizzard, just hoping to get that next little preview.
I played enough Overwatch 2 to know how you should actually pick heroes, which is to say,
that sounds really pompous, and I hope you're going to qualify that with something that doesn't sound so pompous.
think about what plays you want to make on the map geography and the objective. Or is there a weakness you can leverage on the opponent's team comp?
How does that contradict?
Counterpick, really. I played enough Overwatch 2 to know how you should actually pick heroes.
Okay,
which is to say, think about what plays you want to make on the map geography and...
So what plays you want to make still depends on the enemies. If they have, what's-her-face, Kiriko, and you're playing Junkrat, you can't just ult her. You can't just ult players around her. She has the little orb thing that gives them invulnerability for a moment, right? You still have to plan things around the enemy composition. You can't just YOLO. If you want to get better, right? Like, as ironic as it is, like, this guy sounds like he's in bronze, but I doubt it. I think he's just pulling shit out of his ass.
The objective. Or is there a weakness you can leverage on the opponent's team comp? But here's the problem. You can't do all three of those things with one pick. In Overwatch 1, you could do that because the team comps were so stable and powerful that you could make an...
If the team comps are stable, you aren't counterpicking. You're contradicting yourself, my man. If a team comp is stable, meaning it's not changing, then that means you're not counterpicking.
Interconnected team comp that did all of those jobs. Overwatch 2 is super exciting because there's multiple types of plays to make.
This game
and stressing an advantage on one of those areas automatically makes you weaker on the other. No hero does it all. Map design and 5v5 is just designed too well. And for the sake of language, I'll still be using the term counter, but forever know in Overwatch 2 what I mean is a soft counter.
I'm going to use the correct language, but just to defend the developers, I want you to know to understand that even though I oopsied and said a bad thing that in terms of Blizzard's reputation, I really meant a good thing. So think everything I say bad about Blizzard, interpret it as a good thing. Then you'll understand.
Like a playstyle counter, never again is Overwatch 2.
That's what a counter is. That's still a counter. A playstyle counter is still a counter. I think that one's self-explanatory.
Going to have hard counters to things, where a few base...
Like, dude, if you look at the comments on this feed, I'd browse them a little bit. A lot of people are like, yeah, it's like they don't want to get banned. It's like they're on Twitch. You know, Twitch streamers love banning their subscribers for stupid reasons. Whether it's Hassan Abi or XQCOW, whatever his name is. Like, they love to ban their viewers. In fact, that's leaked over to YouTube, where YouTube comments are... Maybe it's just banning all the comments he doesn't like. That's also probably true. But man, everyone's just like, oh, it's okay, streamer, not to offend you, but I just have a slight disagreement. It's like, no, then they say they have a slight disagreement. They go on to describe a serious disagreement. And some of them are like, hey, sorry, there actually are casual players who play this game. It's like, you think he doesn't know that? You think he doesn't know that casual players keep games like this alive? He's just lying to you. Why are you subscribed to him? I don't understand.
Basic abilities means the enemy has to swap. No. Now, it was very interesting to me that this article began praising Overwatch 1 as if it was like the pinnacle of game design, but then goes on to say, Blizzard has a history of launching heroes.
The pinnacle of hero shooters, probably. Pinnacle of game design? You know you said you'd be steel manning, not straw manning, right?
With absurdly strong abilities that can often make old heroes irrelevant. Echo.
Oh yeah, power creep. We're talking about that. Yeah, there's a lot of power creep in the game. Echo, what you just heard him say, is one of them. You know, like, I watch him deny it. Watch him do it.
Dropped in 2020 as a flying burst damage hero that made almost every other DPS pick look pathetic in comparison.
Wait,
even
Overwatch
like, 2's
right.
Junker Queen recently had to be tamed so that professional players would finally pick another tank.
Yeah, original Overwatch was so much better than everything that you're like. Yes, we had a new champion. Is overpowered. Is that not his point? That the original Overwatch one playing in 2016, as you said, was good, right?
In the Overwatch League. Yikes. I am not going to be able to thrash every point he makes here because, of course,
points.
Power creep.
Can you put the article on
dropped
screen?
in 2020
hard, but
as a flying burst damage hero that made almost every other DPS pick look pathetic in comparison. And even Overwatch 2's Junker Queen recently had to be tamed so that professional players would finally pick another tank in the Overwatch League. Yikes. I am not going to be able to thrash every point he makes here because, of course, power creep is in fact a thing in every game.
You seriously did not just say it's okay because it's a thing in every game, did you? Every game nowadays has loot boxes. Let me guess, we're going to say that's a good thing as long as Blizzard has them. Battle Pass, good thing. A lack of skill-based rewards, good thing. Because Daddy Blizzard didn't do it, so it's a good thing. If Daddy Blizzard does it, it's good. If Blizzard doesn't do it, it's good. Can Blizzard do no wrong?
Game that adds new content that you have to be worried about. And B, I do also think it would be a mistake for Blizzard to balance for OWL first. Before the game's out, maybe...
OWL, I think, is Overwatch League. So they should... No, just balance the game. Nobody's like... That's one of the complaints on people out of it, is just balanced around competitive. Like the pro scene. Like, whether it's League of Legends or Overwatch. People just want to play the roster and not have to worry about, like, being pro in order to play the roster. And look at pro games. Even like in League of Legends, I don't watch Overwatch Pro. But in League of Legends, pro play, like they constantly talk about, oh, it's balanced in pro, but just not for you guys. Well, it's not balanced in pro either, because there's the same champions over and over in pro play. We're in the middle of Overwatch League. Overwatch League. The League of Legends esports scene is going on strong right now. We got Worlds going on, and man, we see the same champions out of 150 something. Like seriously, that's not a good thing. And you're talking about power creep. Of course, the pros are only going to play the things that are most power creep. There's money on the line, dude. It's not a good thing. And you're contradicting yourself. I don't know, man.
Maybe they have to, but I think they're going to have to rethink how to make Junker Queen more of a solo queue acceptable hero without breaking her for team play. But in the short term, they did what they had to do for the meta to not be horrible. So he does have a point here.
Well, he said the writer has a point for once. All right. I think that's about all I can stand. Ryder, you did it. You convinced this man that they had a problem out of many problems that he disagreed with, many of which are just literally true. You found one that he could agree with you on. I am proud of this writer. Even he did the unthinkable in that aspect. I'm not going to go through more of this. It's just this over and over. He contradictions, fanboying, slobbering at the mouth over Blizzard. Seriously, dude. I know it's good for your brand, right? It's so there's a very big incentive to slobber all over Blizzard. So there's a huge incentive structure to do that. The better Overwatch does, the better he personally does. have some integrity. Dude, look at these view counts. Overwatch 2 just came out. 100,000. Is the game not doing well, or is he not doing well? Like 90,000. You have almost 1 million subscribers, my man. And the sequel just came out. 82,000. Like, this was before the game came out. Still, like, did the game come out change nothing for you? 63, 129, 160, 117. Like, this makes it the game look like did it not bring back many players? And with all the servers, just possibly people just abandon it and are going to come back later. But damn, son. Maybe that's why you're fanboying so hard, because your future's not looking so bright. Maybe you got a Patreon. That'll keep them up. How much do these fools... You have 4 patrons, my man. Oh, no. Is he getting like $4? Oh, no. He's 0% to his goal. He's not even like 1% of what he wants to have from Patreon. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I think this is a sign that he's not doing so well. Well, he's getting bored of Overwatch, but typically that's what I find. How long ago was Patreon made? You have 4 patrons, 1 million subscribers. 2017. Oh my god. Mark, who has a Patreon? Markiplier. Patreon. What? That's not it. Who? I just... Who can we find on here? Who's a YouTuber? What's his... Rags. Rags has how many subscribers on YouTube? 179 size patrons, $500 per month. How many subscribers does he have at this point? He's got 324,000. He has a third your subscribers, and people actually give a shit about him. You're just so blind.